We've got the Ford Explorer back. This time it's a hybrid.
Earlier in the year, we had the regular gasoline version with mixed results. We'll see if this one's any better. Andrea, what do we have to put it in?
We've got to put it in S for subscribe.
And make sure you hit the notification bell. A lot of people ask, how can you support the channel? Number one thing you can do is hit the notification bell. And here's Andrea in front of the Ford Explorer Hybrid, looking good on Instagram. If you want to follow along with her, it's Motormouth_Andrea. And for me, it's Motormouth_Auto. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below. So Andrea, I think Toyota kind of played Ford with this Explorer because for years they had a V6 hybrid.
Yeah.
and then Ford probably was like, well, we're going to do that too.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They came out with something totally different.
I know.
They came out with a 4-cylinder hybrid, just as Ford introduces this.
It's true.
So now they have a vehicle that is a hybrid, but it is kind of out of step. So what are we working with?
So we've got a 3.3 liter V6 with the hybrid system, and it's a 10-speed automatic transmission.
Big difference.
Big difference. 318 horsepower, 322 pound-foot of torque. You can really feel the power.
Big difference between the Highlander Hybrid, which uses a continuously variable transmission, has a lot less power and a lot less torque, but it is a very drivable vehicle. We were surprised by how well it drives, even if you look just on the numbers, right?
Yeah, and compared to the previous model of that Highlander, it's night and day. So I don't know if you found the same thing when you were driving it, but it's a little bit jerky, and I assume that's because of the 10 speed.
Well, it's interesting because it's very responsive. Like on throttle, it's snappy. The brakes are really grabby. You have to drive it very smoothly to make sure people aren't jerking around. Now, I think it is something to do with the 10 speed.
That's what I'm wondering. The torque is there, the power is there, but the brakes are a little bit grabby for sure.
Now, other than that, I really like the way it drives. Now, we should mention also, when they came out with this new Explorer, they went to what's called a rear-wheel drive platform, right?
Yeah.
So they also use this for Aviator on the Lincoln side, and they too have a hybrid. But I think that yeah, the dynamics of the way it handles is really quite good.
The turn radius is excellent for such a large vehicle. Driving in the city, you know, taking the corners with ease. I really enjoyed driving this. I like this hybrid engine.
Now, we are going to get, of course, the fuel economy and the price of this hybrid in just a moment, but you're probably wondering, what's the competition?
For your consideration, 4 categories and 4 vehicles for you to consider.
The first category is direct competitor, and the most obvious one is the Toyota Highlander Hybrid, 7 passengers and a hybrid.
The next category is our favorite 7-passenger, the Korean twins, Hyundai Palisade and the Kia Telluride. We know they're not hybrids, but they're definitely worth checking out.
Now, the next category is premium car alternative, 7-passenger, mid-size utility. The obvious choice is the Acura MDX hybrid, but they call it a sport hybrid.
Most fuel-efficient 7-passenger goes to the Toyota Highlander Hybrid.
So there's 4 vehicles for you to consider.
So as you know, I'm a big fan of the exterior of this Explorer. I like the ruggedness, the boxiness. It's kind of stately looking. This one has 20-inch wheels.
A lot of people say that the Explorer and Land Rover, Range Rover have a kind of a similar vibe. They used to be owned together by Ford, right? So I can see that.
And this exterior, you know, it's got the roof rails, it's got the LED headlights and tail lights. It looks really sharp. Don't you like that front grille?
Yeah,
like really solid.
I think they did a good job on the styling, and I think that Ford certainly has a look for Explorer now, and it really is handsome. Where it falls down for me, but before we go any further, so click here for the card when Andrea and I drove the gasoline version of this vehicle earlier in the year, and we complained, or I did heavily, about the interior and how it was kind of cheap and plastic fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm still feeling that vibe on the inside.
You know, it just doesn't compete with this overcrowded categories. The Korean Twins, the Palisade, and the Telluride do it just right when it comes to the interior.
They are the best, in my opinion, when it comes to interior. The Highlander had an opportunity. It's good, but it's not as good as the Korean Twins, and this is really a step backwards. I pointed out on the last video, like the panel gaps between the radio and the trim, and the door panel here where the switch is. The same thing on this one that I pointed out with the other one. Like, look at the gap there in at the bottom of this panel and how wide it is at the top. That's just sort of inexcusable for 2021 basically now. So it's functional, it's okay, but the fit and finish is just substandard for this price.
And coming out with an 8-inch screen is just not good enough these days when others have screens that are 10 to 12 inches. One thing I do like about it, I would like to throw in a positive. I think that the inside is designed well. The infotainment center is just so easy to use. It's intuitive. And I like this center console. You know,
Wait a
I'm
second,
not,
Andrea. The shifter, it's a rotary shifter.
I was just going to say, I'm not a fan of a shifter like this, but I got used to it.
See, I told you,
say you get used to it. And it was easy to use.
The ergonomics, the layout of the HVAC system, the radio, the controls, the switch gear, all of that is well done. Like it's simple and easy to use. There's big volume controls. All of that is good. It's just the way they put it together looks cheap for what they're charging.
That's the problem. The competition has really
Shot ahead
stepped
of
up.
it. And this is a new vehicle. It's only been out for a year and a half.
That's the problem with this interior. When it comes to cargo space, well done. Plenty of cargo space, whether it's in the center console or the side doors. What about the seats? I mean, Ford makes a good seat.
Yeah, their seats are very comfortable. And the cargo area in the back, this is a big vehicle. There's plenty of room for everybody.
I actually really like the captain's chairs in the back with this trim that we're reviewing. It's so easy to get into that third row. The last Explorer we had the bench seat. A little bit of a challenge, especially in a dress.
Okay, here's in a dress for sure. Here's one thing I'll say. For example, the Highlander is a 7 or 8 passenger vehicle. This is a 6 or 7 passenger vehicle. So if you get the Highlander with the captain's chairs in the back, you still have 3 seats in the third row, where with this one you've only got 2. So with the Highlander, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the captain's chairs and room for more people. You know what, Andrea? It's time for coffee.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Is the hybrid good for towing? Yes, it is. 5,000 pounds, and the Highlander Hybrid, 3,500 pounds. So a bit of a difference there. So I'm going to combine these next 3 questions. Which powertrain is most desirable? With all the different powertrains available, which would you two choose, and which trim would you choose?
I like the ST. I've driven the ST. It's got lots of power, but it's a lot more expensive and harder on fuel. But if I had to have an Explorer, that would be the one I'd want.
Yeah, I would say the Limited has the most value for trim. And I would say that the Hybrid, because of the V6 for me, and I can get 700 kilometers before I have to fill again. I like that. Explorer versus Grand Cherokee.
They're not the same. One has 3 rows, the Explorer, and the Grand Cherokee just 2 rows, but built on the Grand Cherokee platform is the Durango, and I really like the Durango for handling. It's an older product now, but still excellent.
Our kids love the Durango, and I actually like the Cherokee too. Both are very good products. Does the Explorer come with a choice of engines?
Too many.
Yeah, a whole load. So we've got the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder. We have this one, the hybrid, and then we have the 3-liter V6.
What's missing is just the straight 6-cylinder gas, and that's where I think this picks up.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're testing the hybrid, but it seems like the only trim offering a V6 is the ST. For those buying Limited, would the 4-cylinder be too small? I didn't find the 4-cylinder too small in the city when we drove it, but I think on the highway it was lacking a little bit of power.
But that's what this is. This has a 6-cylinder, so it's not just ST. You can get the 6-cylinder in this, and that's, I think, why this exists.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, if you want to get a question through, you have to follow Andrea's Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to follow along. And do you hear that?
I hear it.
The music. It's time for Nightlife. You know what's interesting, Andrea? We talked about the Highlander and how they went to a 4-cylinder hybrid where this is a 6-cylinder. But the opposite is true on their main gas. They stuck with a 6-cylinder and Ford went to a smaller EcoBoost engine.
That's right.
So the gas version, I guess Ford would argue, is pretty competitive. So I want to talk about the Highlander for a second. So equivalent limited trims, how much is that?
It's almost $54,000.
But they sell a less expensive one, right?
They sell the LE all-wheel drive for almost $46,000.
So they have a $46,000 hybrid. And how much does this one start at? Okay, let's get into it. It's time for a price pause.
So the limited gas engine is almost $50,000. The hybrid limited is $4,000 more than that. And then of course there's the ST, the 3-liter V6, which comes in at $57,599.
You know what's interesting? Toyota has this vehicle beat on fuel economy, has it beat on price, and it has it beat on the premium to get the hybrid. So they charge $2,000 to go from gas to hybrid. Ford charges $4,000.
That's right.
That's a bit of a
difference, yeah, bit of a difference. So while we're on fuel economy, why don't we talk about this? Because it's a little bit surprising with this Ford Explorer hybrid, isn't it? So in the city, it gets 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers, the highway 9, and combined is 9.6. Now, you do go 700 kilometers or so before you fill, but that's not great for a hybrid, is it?
Well, we have to compare it to the Highlander Hybrid, which is a remarkable achievement. What are the numbers on that?
So 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 6.8 on the highway.
Yeah, it's a fraction of this. But I don't believe, and we're going to talk about it now, that this Ford Explorer Hybrid is going to bring anybody into the Ford brand because of the hybrid system. I think this is a vehicle designed for people who are already in the Ford family.
Yes, and they are looking for something that maybe they're not going to head to the pumps as often. And they want the V6, the powerful engine. The hybrid is really the way to go, and the limited has got a lot in it.
So with the old, like years ago, the Explorer came with a V6. Now you have to go all the way to the high performance ST to get it. And right in the middle is this hybrid. So it's got a V6 hybrid system. I think this is the product for people who don't want a 4-cylinder EcoBoost, don't want the high performance one. This is the one they're going to buy.
It's got good value.
And a lot of features. So the limited is where it starts. What do you get?
Yeah, you get power driver and passenger seats. We get these very comfortable plush seats, heated and cooled front seats, heated rear seats.
Heated steering wheel, I can tell you that right now.
Heated steering wheel. So a lot of good things. I would say this limited comes well equipped.
It's got the B&O stereo, which is a nice feature.
Yeah.
Big pano roof, which Andrea loves, and I like to keep shut. The screen does look kind of rinky-dink in such a big vehicle. It looks a little Fisher-Pricey, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Oh my gosh.
But overall, I think this is targeted for people in the Ford family. I don't think anybody's coming to this looking for the best fuel economy or anything.
No, well, you're not getting it.
I don't know. Ford is so close. Like, it's a good product. They're so close.
I know.
But they just fall short. It's like, I don't know.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
With so many trim levels to choose from and powertrains, I have to say this hybrid is probably one of my favorites within the Ford group.
I don't think it's going to steal anybody away from Toyota for fuel economy. I think it's just now an option in the Ford family for people who want to have kind of what the Explorer used to be. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.